Welcome along, 7-Eleven special. These are actually test rides. These are early days on CADEsport. We're West London VR. We are independent of CADEsport, so everything we say is our view, not theirs. And 7-Eleven special was the 7th of November, since 7-Eleven. And Lakeside Lanes was the route we chose. It's fairly flat, 11.7 kilometres. Now, these are Monday evenings. We're running them at the moment, testing CADE, both for ourselves and giving any feedback to CADEsport, of course. And you can see the course we're about to go around. We're whizzing around it on your screen there. There's a little map of it on your left and everything else. And we're going to talk you all the way through this race. It was absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed this particular one. So we're doing them on Monday evenings. These are independent reviews, and we're going to tell you our experience of riding on the wonderful CADEsports platform. We are experienced e-racers. We've been racing for a long time on other platforms, and this one has come along and just shows so much potential that we got very excited and got in touch with CADE and asked if we could do some informal races on Monday evenings just to test it out, and that's what we've been doing for a few weeks, culminating this one. 14 seconds to go. Now, what happens on CADEsport is that when you log in, you actually warm up, and a few seconds before the start, it transports you from your warm-up straight onto the start line, just like that. Now you can see that the riders are slightly transparent, and what this tells you is that as they leave, at any one moment, you can ride through another rider, and this is because if it's congested and you wouldn't be able to sort of move to the side, on that starting line, it allows you to do so. Now, the moment the riders stop being transparent like they are now, you cannot get through a crowd of riders. You have to go round them. And CADE offers you steering. If you can reach your laptop keyboard, then you use the arrow keys right and left, and you can go around people. You can also use the spacebar for braking, which we're going to talk about. Now look, you can see the wonderful graphics here of the lakes there. This is Lakeside Lanes is the name of the course. It's dead flat, but there's lots of these little lakes around the course, so look out for those. Now, as I say, it has these controls. You don't have to use them, and in fact, just for your information, on this race, you get so many options with CADE. This race was set up by me, Dave Morrison, you can see on the screen. It was set up by me so that you didn't crash on corners, okay? You did have that option. Now, I rather like the crashing, and we will talk about that a bit more. But as you can see, everybody goes around the corner quite fast here, except for Lisa, who hadn't realised that I had turned off the no crashing on corner. I turned on the no crashing on corners option and was taking them a little bit more cautiously just to make sure she didn't crash. But look at the effort she puts in to catch up. Fantastic racing from Lisa. Now you can see this four at the front have broken away a little bit. There's Dave Morrison and me in the black and white jersey, Frank Garcia in the red, white and blue, my friend David Tobin in the light blue, and Lisa Snell in the pink. And Lisa just sort of losing a bit of ground there again as she takes those corners rather more cautiously than the rest of us are, making it slightly harder for her. But she hadn't realised that I'd actually switched on the no crashing on corners option. Anyway, fair play to her. She's obviously learned how to master the corners because she's not falling off. Now, I think this is a bit further back. Vanessa Murren back there in the white jersey, and she's just going around some corners there as well. We see Frank Garcia on the three there. Lisa a little bit behind, and it's the corners that are causing her the problems. A bit unfortunate, but it gives me an opportunity to explain the corners. Now, you see these guys coming up to the corner. Now, on their speedometers, there will be a little... there'll be around the edge of it, I suppose. There's a green rim and a red rim, and if you go up at speed so much that you go into the red zone, you will crash on the corner. So what you need to do is you slow down just before the corner, and that allows you, I suppose, to get down to a speed within the green zone so that you don't crash. Or you can use the braking, and finally you can actually use the arrow keys to get on the outside of the bend, which gives you a better swing around it. Now, this is absolutely fantastic. This is not on any of the other platforms as far as I'm aware at the moment. And I really, really do like it, but I thought for these test rides, because people aren't used to it, that we would just switch that off. You see Frank's using it here. Frank's going out to the middle of the course, seeing what's what. He loses the draft a little bit by doing so, so he tucks back in and goes around the inside of that corner. Now, we go through the start and finishing line as we finish a lap. This is 5 laps, this particular race. And you can see these three making the best of the draft here. And Vanessa a little bit further back. She's using the steering as well quite clearly there because she's going across the road, but then decided to tuck in behind those other two riders. The front three, though, pumping away, and Lisa not with them at the moment. They whiz around those bends, and I think she is paying the price for taking the bends a little bit too cautiously. And Vanessa there taking the outside line there, swinging round on the inside, perfect cornering, and that's how you want to do it. In line for the outside of the next bend too. Absolutely perfect positioning. Like I say, it doesn't particularly matter in this race because I switched it off. Now, the other big thing in this race is that I set it up so that, in fact, you can see there's a stranded rider there as the front three lap them. Now, I've set it up so that everybody's on Pro Plower. Now, if you're on Pro Plower, this means that everybody has the top power. You see the gap there to Lisa is not too far, so she's still in this race. Absolutely fantastic. She's plugging away. She is at a disadvantage, but she's not in terms of power because, as I said, I've set this to Pro Power, and if you're on Pro Power, everybody's at the top rate, and all that matters is how much effort you put in. So if you're not the most powerful rider, you will actually suddenly be equal to the most powerful. Look at them. Look at that. Lisa is closing that gap. This is absolutely fantastic. She's not far behind now. The front trio split into a duo. Lisa's going to make the liaison at the back there, so she's going to have another rider to sit behind, and that's fantastic riding. We look at Vanessa here now, out solo and having to take the wind all the way. Anyway, back to Pro Power. Everybody here is on Pro Power, so it's the amount of effort your cadence is going to do. Oh, she's overtaken Frank Garcia. Lisa now up into third and closing in to make it. It's going to become a quartet again as they take that bend from the outside round the inside. Perfect cornering again. Perfect line here as everybody takes the draft. Now, Pro Power, as I say, is a great equaliser. So these are equalised races. Now, we found these to be very popular because what happens is you don't get this situation where the strongest rider just leaps ahead. Actually, it now allows you to have these little quartets of perhaps riders that would be not equally matched in other races. As we go around another one of those bends and we see the lakes all over the place. You can see why this course is called Lakeside Views, or Lakeside Lanes, sorry. You go past a little settlement here. Great visuals as well, aren't they? Absolutely fantastic. I like, there's a lot of courses to choose from on Cade, and I haven't done them all yet. Some are real and some are Fantasia type things, and you can go on there and experiment them all yourself. Look at those lakes, fantastic scenery. We go around another bend and we notch up another lap. Remember, this is a 5-lap race. The quartet at the front still away on the front. Now, this levelling up means that it is the amount of effort you put in, and if you go on the front as David Tobin is there, you are going to be putting on more effort. Lisa just going for that cornering again. She's mastered it quite well. Another one of our riders, not here today, Brett Smith, has got this down to fine art, and I have to confess, I went on in some spare time and practiced seeing just how much I needed to do to avoid falling off. I think it was one of the city courses. I'm guessing it was Chicago. It wasn't the New York course, but it was another city course. I'm guessing it's Chicago. It isn't called that. Look at the camper vans there out in the woodland. And I went on in some spare time and practiced cornering. And I actually think it's fantastic. If you do crash, you're only down for a few seconds, and it will be, material in a race. Of course it will. But if everybody else is crashing, then it kind of equalises itself out there. But if you can practice it and get used to how you go around these bends, then you will become a great racer, and it makes the racing far more interesting, I have to say. That said, there is no falling off in corners in this race. Great views here of the front riders here. We've lost David Tobin. David, I think, suffered from a technical. Technical can mean a number of things, but I think most often it's a dropout when your internet cuts out, either momentarily or permanently. And I think David has been dropped due to internet connection, nothing else, as the riders come up. And Lisa's taking this by storm. She's going away. She's leaving the other two behind. Dave and Frank struggling to get on Lisa's wheel. Frank's had enough of sitting on Dave's wheel, and he's going to take the lead to close that gap. As you can see, he goes around Dave using the steering, but they both catch up. In fact, the joint effort means they're both there, and Dave goes on the front. Lisa just tucking in, making the best of the draft as they hit another corner. And we look back to Vanessa now in 5th place, cycling on her own. She's 41 seconds behind. She's 27 seconds behind David Tobin and 40 seconds behind the leaders, as you can tell from the graphics on the top right there. Again, we see more and more of these lakes from the aerial view. Fantastic scenery. Got a boat in there too as they go around a bend. Now the front trio have split a bit. Lisa is putting on the pressure. Dave's chasing, but just making up that gap as they go through the settlement again. Frank seems to have been dropped at this point. Frank now 5 seconds behind Lisa and Dave. Lisa's still piling on the pressure. There's no let up. Dave's not been able to sit on the wheel there. Just making it up, going back into the lead as they clock up another lap. And remember, as I say, 5-lap race, and I think we've done 3 now. As we go around and see the camper vans in the middle of the bend there, as we navigate through some deep ravines down to those lakes, don't we? Lisa's just not letting up. She's absolutely going for it. Now this is fantastic because Lisa would not expect normally to be at the front or in the fastest group on our West London club rides, and this equalisation means that it's really about how hard she tries, and she's gone again. She is not going to let Dave sit on the wheel, and she's not going to sit on his wheel either. Vanessa now solo into the wind and is 31 seconds behind David Tobin, a full 50 seconds behind the leaders, and it looks like David Tobin is going to make that gap up to Frank G as Vanessa completes another lap. So yes, I think Frank Garcia and David Tobin now are going to ride together, and Lisa and Dave now at the front. Lisa is just not going to give up this race. I mean, and she's had to work harder than everybody else because she slowed down for bends when the others didn't, and she didn't need to, and so she's expended extra energy already. But once again, it shows what a great competition you can get out of this equalisation, because you can put all the riders into a race and suddenly everybody's equal and you get a real contest. And I can remember in the early days of online racing, small fields, you got your friends out and you all knew who the strongest rider was, and you'd all set off, and halfway through the race it was a procession because the strongest rider was at the front, the weakest was at the back, and the pecking order in the middle was roughly what you'd expect it to be. As Frank puts on the pressure now, forcing David Tobin to respond to try and get on his wheel. Frank absolutely doing it. He's got the tri-bar position. They're obviously more aerodynamic. I'm not sure how you do that. Perhaps Frank can tell us at some point. Lisa just piling on the pressure. They're struggling to close that gap, but he manages it once more. And Lisa just not letting up. As I say, this equalisation makes for great racing, as you can see. Lisa would not normally expect to beat Dave in a race, but Dave is the one struggling here. And you can see a little thumbs up coming from one of the other riders there above Lisa's head as she piles on the pressure again. And Dave's not having much joy staying on her wheel because she's just not letting him. And as I say, in a normal club ride or something like that, Lisa would not expect to be doing this to Dave. But this is what equalisation does. It makes for great racing. What a fantastic race. David Tobin's fighting to get on Frank's wheel there. Frank in that try position. Lisa now out on her own as she goes through the settlement. And she slows down. You see that she stops pedalling there for that bend. And that gives Dave a little bit more chance as we go through for the 4th time. And we hit lap 5. Now Lisa is clear. And it's what Dave does next is going to make or break the situation. Now, as I say, if I stop talking in the third person, this is David Tobin going through to the final lap. Frank just behind him. Dave has caught Lisa here. Now, and as speaking as Dave rather than the third person, I can tell you at this point, I assumed that I was going to have to sit on Lisa's wheel and see what happened in the last 500 metres as to whether I had enough sprint or not. And I was a little bit surprised when Lisa kept pushing away during this last lap, and I kind of assumed that she would accept that probably what was going to happen, that it would all be down to who was there on the last 500, who went first, and I fully expected Lisa to go first and try and beat me in the last 500, but she was doing it from the beginning of the lap, and this came as a bit of surprise. It forced me to chase and chase and chase, kept getting on a wheel. So I kind of always felt, right, okay, every time she does this, I can just make it up. I get on a wheel, she goes again. I sort of sit there, get my breath back from the last chase, and then go for the next chase. This is how I thought it would pan out, but Lisa just was not letting up. And to my surprise, it didn't kind of work out as smoothly as I thought. 1 second behind at the moment. As you can see, Lisa's still piling it on. She went through that corner quite fast, considering that she was taking them easy, and I think she took the chance there. I'm, as I say, 1 second behind here and chasing, but not closing that gap. It's getting further and further down the race, and I'm getting nearer and nearer the finish. Frank Garcia giving a thumbs up to Lisa there. It's gone out to 2 seconds. This is getting a bit worrying. At 2 seconds, I still wasn't too worried because I thought I can absolutely charge for the last bit, but then it went out to 3 seconds, and I thought this now needs closing. So I absolutely put all the power in to close that 3 second gap, and realised that Lisa was doing the same, and the 3 second gap was just holding. So in fact, if I'd done nothing, the gap would have widened. Now here I get it down to about 2 seconds and think, well, okay, a bit more pressure, I can get this down to 1, but it's hovering on that 2 to 3 seconds. I'm not closing the gap. Lisa gets around another bend reasonably speedily. She slows down here a little bit, which gets it down to 2 seconds, and I'm in with a glimmer of a chance again. But then she goes for it. I think that was just a pause to get her breath back, as she makes the final assault on the finishing line. 2 second gap still here, with Lisa absolutely charging, and it's gone out to 3, and she has hit the finishing line with 3. I realised it was coming up, sat up, and it went up to 4, and Lisa does the victory salute. Absolutely fantastic racing. That is equalised racing for you. That was absolutely gripping. It was thrilling while I was doing the chase, and the realisation that I wasn't going to catch Lisa made this quite an exciting finish. Lisa was thrilled to bits, and I think everybody else kind of realises that this equalised racing is something that we're all going to have to get into, and I think it makes for great racing. David Tobin finishing there gets a heart from Vanessa, who's yet to finish. Frank Garvey just coming in. I think Frank's let up a little bit. You look at the cadence there. I think Frank's realised that he's been beaten by David and just pedals home, admiring the scenery, probably giving a wave to the residents of the village here as he goes by. But that was, as I say, quite thrilling. And I think we're going to do more and more of these equalised races, West London on Monday evenings. And I think we, as these are semi-informal at the moment, we are going to sort of formalise this in the future. And I think Monday night equalised racing is the way to go for us on CADE. We've been very impressed, and as I say, it might not suit the best riders because suddenly they get hauled back to have to race and possibly take the risk of getting beaten by normally lesser riders. But actually, I think for everybody else, this makes for very exciting racing. Frank sits up after a good workout. I'm sure he enjoyed it. Probably a little bit disappointed that David left him at the end. Vanessa comes home in 5th place. Linda Will in 6th. Bessie in 6th. And Gerald White, I think, was 8th, actually. I'll get the numbers right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So Linda was 7th. Bessie 8th. Oh, I see. I missed one out. It's Cheryl White. And then there's one more at the back, wasn't it, for 8th. So we see some of the other riders coming home now, sitting up, finishing off the race. We see 6th there, Linda, 5th, Vanessa. As the live results hit your screen. So the verdict generally is that we're enjoying CADE. We like the crashing, but we're not necessarily putting it on our races at the moment. There's the top 6 so far. I think there were 8 finishers by the end in total. But as I say, we are going to be doing plenty more of these. And we're going to stick with the, certainly for now, the equalised racing, and probably on no crashes, but with a future view to putting the crashes into the race when everybody's a little bit more used to it. So please come and join us on CADEsport on a Monday evening, 7:30 p.m. UK time. So work that out for wherever you are. If you're in the USA, obviously it's not quite as convenient because you're 5 hours, and certainly on the East Coast, but or more behind us. But if you can get out at lunchtime and race with us, we'd love to have you on board. Frank and Vanessa there riding from the USA and from the Netherlands, of course. So absolutely fantastic experience as we admire the view on the lake. Thanks for watching.